In this video, you'll learn a really cool way to segment your blog audience into Facebook custom audiences. Now, specifically, you'll be able to create a custom audience in Facebook based on what categories of content people read on your blog, or even what tags you add to a certain blog post. Now, the easiest way to show you is by example, I think. So here is a post on our website, and we've got a tag on this called Web Designer, right? And what you'll learn is how to get that piece of information through to Facebook so that when you're creating a custom audience, you can say that we're only going to include in this audience people who viewed content with a category of web designer. Now, I've used category because that's a built-in one with Facebook, so they don't have content tag. I just put the tag into the category. So we're saying if the category contains web designer, then we're going to build an audience of people who are web designers. And once you've got this custom audience created, if you ever want to advertise to that specific segment, it's really easy to just come in here and go create an ad and target it at this custom audience. The only other real way to do this is if you wanted to target a whole bunch of posts on your website, you would have to come in here and say, okay, I want to target people who viewed specific web pages and put in every single post on your site that targets web designers, which is kind of a pain in the butt. And this way is super automated and allows you to basically dynamically create these custom audiences on the fly. So when you put up a new post, you put the tag on it for the custom audience that you want this post to apply to, and anyone that reads it will automatically be added to that custom audience. So it's super automated and much more efficient. I'm Jimmy from jimmyrose.me, and if you would like to learn more cool ways to automate parts of your business to do less work, get more time back in your life, please hit that subscribe button below. But yeah, let's dig into it. There are two different ways you can set this up. The first one's quite simple. The second one's a bit more complex and gets into Google Tag Manager. So if you're using Google Tag Manager, you probably want to jump to that section. This is the way I do it using Google Tag Manager, just because it delays loading of scripts on our website, and it's just a better way to manage what data from your website is going to different scripts. But if you just want the easy option, let's stick with option one, which is using Pixel Caffeine, which is a WordPress plugin. So let's go over and set that up now. So the first thing you're going to do is install the plugin called Pixel Caffeine. I'm sure you know how to install a plugin if you're using WordPress. So go ahead and do that and then open the settings once it's activated. It should bring you to this general settings tab. That's the one you want. This is actually super easy to set up. Like one of the most easy plugins to get going that I think I've used. So you just click this Facebook Connect button here. And once you authorize with Facebook, I've already done that, so it's not showing up that window, but you just choose your ad account and then the Pixel ID. Now, if you haven't got a Pixel already, like if you haven't run Facebook ads before, you'll need to do that. I'll link up a resource below into how you can create a new Pixel, but otherwise just select it here. And I'm going to be doing this on my, my secondary site, jimmyrose.me, so I'm choosing that Pixel. But at this point, you're pretty much done. Like, it automatically enables and it turns on this automatic custom audiences thing here. See how it says advanced tracking is on? And that's what you need to automatically send categories up. So that's what taxonomies are in WordPress. So this means tags and categories are automatically being sent to Facebook now, which is insanely easy. And the way you can check this out for yourself is to download the Chrome extension here called Facebook Pixel Helper. I'll show you what this does, right? So if I go over to my website and open up a blog post, you can see this is highlighted now because it can detect the Facebook pixel. Open that guy up. And you can see it's added an event here called Advanced Events. So by default, the Facebook pixel is tracking page views. So if you open up the advanced events one, this is automatically added by that advanced tracking section in Pixel Caffeine. You can see here, it's added all this information that's getting sent up to Facebook. So it says tax category is awesome tools, and the tax tag, the taxonomy post tag is web designer. So if you've got multiple, it'll list them all out here. So you can see we've got that tag web-designer automatically being sent to Facebook. So if we head over to Facebook now to the Events Manager, and you get to that by going here and to Events Manager, you might find it in the longer list. This tells you all the different information that the Facebook Pixel is sending into Facebook. Now it may take you a while for this to show up. Like the first time you test that, and you could see there that it's fired Advanced Events. Sometimes that can take 20 minutes or so to show up in your Facebook account. So don't panic if it hasn't showed up right away. But here it is here for me. Right, so you can open this up and it'll show you the events that have happened. You can see mine were last week when I actually set this up for the first time. But it tells you what parameters are coming through, and you can click here. So these are all the different, these match basically all that information we just looked at in the Pixel Helper. We want to look at specific events. You can click that and it shows you the specific events that have come in. Now, unfortunately, because I haven't actually created a custom audience with this yet, it's saying removed for all of those different things like tax category and tag. They all say removed. Facebook does that automatically for, I guess, a privacy thing. Normally, that's where you'd see that information like web designer and the category coming through that was awesome tools. Now, to use that in a custom audience, I'm going to go over to my audience manager, which is again through here, and you can go down to audiences. Open this up. We would create a new custom audience based on our website, and we're going to use that pixel, and we want to filter by the event, and in this case it was advanced events. We're going to refine it by a URL parameter, and you'll see if you open this up, there's all our parameters. Again, this will take about 20 minutes, sometimes more, to populate. So once you've actually set Pixel Caffeine up, visit a few of your blog posts and wait a while before you'll see any of this. But yeah, so now we could say tax post tag contains web-designer. Remember just to double check that, right, by going into here, making sure you've got that exact web-designer. You can even copy and paste that out of there if you like, and put that in so you know you've got it 100% correct. And then give your name and audience. So this would be web designers, and save it. And then you've got your audience created. Of course, make sure you set up how long you want to keep people. I think a lot of people use 180 days here. Totally up to you. I just want to show you how to get this, the tags and the categories through. And so the same thing, if you wanted to use categories instead of tax post tag, you could use tax category. And again, open that up, make sure so you put in awesome tools here. Back over here, you paste that in. Unfortunately, see, because there's a space in it, it's actually breaking that up into two different tags. So chances are you're probably not going to have awesome in something else. So I'm probably just going to leave it as either tools or awesome. That's actually why I use web-designer as the tag. I intentionally make it one word like that so it doesn't split them up in Facebook. Now that is it for the Pixel Caffeine side of things. Now let's take a look at how you can do the same thing with Google Tag Manager. This is the way I prefer doing things, just because Tag Manager gives you so much more control over what scripts are loading on your site. It will delay loading of the scripts, so it has less impact on load time. And I just find it better to manage everything from there rather than trying to use manually add all our tracking scripts like Facebook Pixel and Analytics and all that. Instead of adding those to the website individually, I just like to add them all through Google Tag Manager. So if I show you quickly here, this is all the tags for jimmyrose.me. You can see we're loading ActiveCampaign, Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, all through Tag Manager just here. This time I'm going to jump over to our other website at contentsnare.com. And the plugin you want to install is Google Tag Manager for WordPress. Now this one is awesome. It adds a lot of different information to Google Tag Manager that you can use in your marketing. We'll get into that shortly, but this is the one you're looking for when you install it. And then you're going to head over to settings. The first part here, now I'm not going to go into how to set up Google Tag Manager from scratch, but if you have created a container, so once you've logged into Tag Manager, let's say you've created your container already, so this would be your website, you get your container ID from there, and you can put that straight into this field here. By the way, I will link to a resource on how to set up Google Tag Manager from scratch if you've never done it before in the description below, but that's a whole video in itself. But then you need to decide where the code is going to go, where the actual tracking code from this plugin. If you already have Google Tag Manager installed and set up, you're probably going to go with off, just like our setup here. So this is just adding special data to Google Tag Manager to say things like the category and the tag. It's adding that to Google Tag Manager. If you've never installed it before, you'll probably need to get your tech person to sort this out. There's some instructions here. Typically, you're going to go with custom is the best way to do it. The footer and codeless can work out of the box, but generally not the best ways to do it. You probably want to get your tech person involved, use custom, and then get them to put this snippet inside your theme. So I'm going to leave it as off because we just care about the data that this plugin is adding to Google Tag Manager. The only other step is to go over to this basic data tab and just make sure that data that you want to get sent to Google Tag Manager is set up here, right? So you can see we've got like the post type, the category list of the current post, tags of the current post. So in my case, I want tags, just want to make sure that's on and that you've saved it. Now this plugin adds lots of different data to the data layer in Google Tag Manager. If you want to check it out, I will link up to this in the description below. But this part describes all the different information that it adds, the plugin adds. So we can see that there's data about the currently viewed page or post. It's adding categories and attributes and page title. All this stuff is getting added to Google Tag Manager, which you'll see shortly. But now that setup on WordPress is complete. So now we just have to go over to Google Tag Manager. And this is the content snare site. And these are all the different scripts we are loading on this site. Now, because you're using Tag Manager, you're going to want to have the default Facebook tracking code set up. So this is ours here. This is the standard Facebook pixel code that we've just dropped in directly from Facebook Business Manager, right? So we've created a custom HTML tag. So if you were to create this from scratch, you would go new. You're going to call it Facebook Pixel or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a custom HTML tag. This is where you paste in the code you get directly from Facebook for your pixel, and then you trigger it on all pages, right? So that's just saying load the Facebook pixel on all pages, and that's what I've already got set up here. That's this one. And what we're going to do now is create an extra event called view content with, in this case, the WordPress tags. Now, first we have to set up variables. So the bunch of data that comes in from that plugin, from the Google Tag Manager for WordPress plugin, gets added to the data layer. We need to basically read in all those variables to Google Tag Manager. So you come down here, and you're going to create a new variable. You come down here to the user-defined variables, and you'll see I've got some here already. I've got one called WordPress tags. I'll open that up, and it's simply a data layer variable for page attributes. And I got that, again, from this thing, right? So if I wanted to get the page category, let's go and create a new one for the page category. I'm just going to copy that, jump back to Tag Manager. I'm going to create a new user-defined variable. Let's call it WP category. Click in here. It's going to be a data layer variable because, again, the plugin is automatically adding it to the data layer. And you're just going to paste that in there and save. So now WP category, probably should have called that WordPress for naming conventions. Now I also have one created here called post type. So this comes again from that plugin. So the page post type variable, which came from here. So this is just going to say whether it's a post, because basically I only want to fire a special event into Facebook if it's a post that has a tag enabled. I don't want to just fire events willy-nilly. So I'm going to come back over into Tag Manager now and jump out. The next thing we're going to create is a trigger. So I'm going to click trigger. And go ahead and create a new trigger that looks like this one. So I've got one here, WordPress posts with tags. So when you create your new trigger, you'll choose the page view DOM ready event here. And you're going to say some DOM ready events. And you'll see all your new variables that you just created. So WP category showing up here now. So we're saying we want the WordPress tags does not equal undefined. So that's basically saying if the tags have been sent from the plugin. So if there are no tags, it would equal undefined. So if it doesn't equal undefined, it means tags have been added. So we'll fire this event when WordPress tags does not equal undefined and the post type, which is that other one I showed you, equals post. So set that up, give it a name. I've just called it WordPress post with tags. And once you're done, just click save. So we've made the variables. Now we've made the trigger. Now we need to actually fire that script over to Facebook. So let's jump up to tags now. And you're going to create a new event that looks like this. So I've called mine Facebook View Content with WP Tags. You'll choose a custom HTML tag, just like before with the standard Facebook pixel. And then in the HTML, this is what you're going to put in. I will paste this into the description below, but this is a special Facebook piece of code that's saying track view content. And we're setting the content category to our variable that we called WordPress tags. So the only thing you need to change here, if you were using category, you would make sure that this exactly matches the variable name that you created earlier. Now there is a trick to this. If I go ahead and delete that, make sure it's inside quotes there, and you go bracket, bracket, or curly bracket, it'll actually bring up the list of all your variables so you can make sure you're getting the name right. So if I wanted to change it to WP category, you can see I've done it there, but I'm just going to change that back to WordPress tags. Now the other thing you want to make sure of here is come down to advanced settings. So you'll open that up and you want to go tag sequencing and tick this box that says fire a tag before this one, basically. And you want to make sure that your default Facebook pixel tag is the one you set here, right? So if you called it Facebook pixel, that's the one you'd select. Ours is called Facebook website custom audience. So that's the one I've selected there, because you always want to make sure that that pixel fires before this one. Otherwise this won't work properly. Oops. Yeah, so that's the main thing. And then you come down to triggering and you'll choose the event that you just created. So this is the one I've created called WordPress post with tags. Normally you just click this plus button here and choose your trigger, which would be shown there. And then you're going to save it. So just a quick recap. The first thing is to come in and create the variable. In this case, I've called it WordPress tags using the data layer variable of page attributes, which comes from here because this is the tags you can see there. Then you create your trigger. WordPress post with tags. You can see the setup here, so just make sure yours looks the same as that, some events and these two conditions. And then we move up into tags. And it's this one here. So you want to make sure this is the code you've got here, making sure your variable is called exactly the same as what you set up in the variables thing, and making sure the tag sequencing is set up. And then finally choosing a trigger of WordPress posts with tags, or whatever you called the trigger that you just created before. And once you're done, you're going to go ahead and submit and publish this to your website. So now let's jump over to Facebook and take a look at how this will show up inside Facebook. So back at the Events Manager page, again, that was here. This time it's my default pixel, not the Jimmy Rose pixel. I'm going to click that and have a look at the View Content event and look at the details. You can see here, these are all the page views we've had of different blog posts of ours. And if you hover over these, you can see this one says content category, web designer, general. So you can see all of those events coming in. So if you wanted to create a custom audience out of these, so let's go with the web designer one again. So you can see its content category is the parameter on the left there. So back over at the audience creator, we're going to go create audience, custom audience from website. It's my default pixel, and we're going to filter by the view content event this time because that's the event that we set up in Tag Manager. Maybe we change the days, but we're going to refine it by URL parameter, and we're going to choose that content category one that we just saw, and that's going to be web designer. And then so now we have a audience of web designers that we can save. So essentially we've just pushed that tag through from WordPress through Google Tag Manager and into Facebook. Now you just create that audience and you are done. So then basically whenever you add a tag to any blog post on your site, it will come through as content category here, and you can create a custom audience out of it. So if you have multiple different audiences coming to your site, this is extremely powerful, and it means you don't have to go through and create custom audiences out of every single individual post that you want to put in that custom audience. That's it. I hope you've taken something away from this video. I love this workflow because it makes maintaining custom audiences and segments in Facebook so simple, just by adding a tag or ticking the category of the post. And then that anyone who reads that is going to be automatically added to a custom audience, which you can run an ad to. So you might have different, industries like web designers or marketing agencies like we do. And then all we have to do is add the tag. People are automatically added to that audience, and then we can run ads to them. Super simple. Yeah, and I hope you've taken something away. If you would like to learn more cool ways to automate your business and marketing, please hit that red subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next video.